I believe that understanding the balance of a garment on your body is the key to achieving good fit. I've shared this rather extensively in the Perfect Fit Guide, as well as in all of my online courses and workshops. While I usually talk about this in relation to woven garments, it is useful as a tool in assessing fit in knits as well. So last week I showed you how to find the balance lines on the in-house patterns Jenny T, in the hope of helping you understand how to assess the fit of the pattern. Since we've already determined the position of the balance lines on the pattern, I thought we could take an even closer look at the Jenny t-shirt pattern and talk about negative ease. Today, I'm going to show you how to determine the ease in this particular pattern and share the reasoning behind the positive and negative ease that we find. I hope you'll follow along with your own Jenny t-shirt pattern. First, let's define negative and positive ease. Positive ease is the measurement of the pattern or garment over the body measurement that it is designed to fit. Now, negative ease is the opposite of this and is the measurement of the pattern or garment under the body measurement. Since knits have the ability to stretch, positive ease isn't necessary to allow for movement and can help you eliminate the darts and seams that are required in woven fabrics. Now, determining pattern ease is very simple. You just need to find the difference between the pattern measurement and the body measurement to obtain the resulting ease. This ease can be positive or negative depending on the amount of stretch in the fabric, the style of the garment, and of course the fit that you want to achieve. Okay, so here we have the Jenny T, and we worked on this last week and we put the balance lines on the pattern. So if you missed that particular video, definitely go back and watch it because it's going to be helpful in helping you fit the t-shirt when you get to fitting it. But today I wanted to just talk about the negative and positive ease in this particular pattern because this information is going to help you kind of mimic the style on your own body using your own body measurements. Okay, so as you know, last time we definitely put on our bust, waist, and hip lines on the Jenny t-shirt pattern. And this is going to help us determine the ease in the pattern and help you actually do the fitting later on. So let's quickly talk about the bust, waist, and hip. So in order to determine the ease in a pattern, you need to know the measurement of the pattern and the measurement of the body that that particular size is fitting. So if you want to follow along with me with the Jenny t-shirt, you can actually take a look at the body measurement chart, which I have listed on the website. So it's at inhousepatterns.com is where you're going to find this body measurement chart for each of the sizes that I carry currently. So what you're going to see here is that the bust girth for each size, the waist girth for each size, and the hip girth for each size. And what we're going to do is take that information, measure our pattern, and then of course we're going to be able to determine the ease and negative ease in this particular pattern. So let's take a look at that information on our pattern. If you have the Perfect Fit Guide download, which is a free download that I have available for you, which I'll link to below, you can actually use the pattern measurement worksheet that I've left for you in that document that will help you kind of put all of the information in one place. And you can see here I've already filled out this worksheet, but I can see here that under the pattern measurement column, I've just made a split between the two columns, and I'm giving myself a space that I can write the body measurements of the size that I chose, and of course when I do the pattern measurements I can actually record those there. And under the pattern ease column I'm going to indicate the ease allowances that I find when I measure the pattern. Go through the process of measuring your pattern, and we're going to concentrate on the bust, waist, and hip just to keep this quick and easy. But you can see I've got other measurements here as well. So you're going to want to make sure that you have your seam lines marked on your pattern so that you are not measuring your seam allowance. And you're just going to go along those lines and measure each of those lines along the bust line. And you can see I'm following the bust line as I have it recorded on my pattern. So measuring that, you're going to double that because this represents two pattern pieces, which means it's just half of the body. So to get the other half, you need to multiply whatever measurement you get here by 2. The waist is the same situation where you can quickly measure. Make sure, again, you're measuring from seam line to seam line. I like to just put my fingernail on the edge and then jump over and measure. And then, of course, you can do the hip line, whichever hip line you ended up determining for the pattern. Again, really easy to do it on this pattern because there is no darts or internal seams to eliminate, but you are eliminating any seam allowances that you have. Now, once you have that information, you can fill that information in on your pattern measurement worksheet if you have it handy. The next thing you're going to do is determine what the pattern ease allowances are. So what you're working with right now is what the pattern company is using for their body measurements and what the actual pattern measures. So this is before you've tried any alterations. And this is going to tell you how much ease allowance is available in this particular pattern that you have to work with. Now, this is going to allow you to, after you enter in your body measurements, it's going to allow you to use these ease allowances to put into your desired ease column, which then you can figure out what pattern adjustments you need based on your body measurements that are going to make this garment look the way it looks on the pattern envelope. So this is what I call optimal ease. So the optimal ease is the body measurement of the pattern company minus the pattern measurement as the size that you chose. Now you're going to notice here that there is positive and negative ease in this pattern. So let's just talk about bust, waist, and hip ease to start with, because these are the most important ones. So you can see here when I measured the body measurement here, it is 42 inches for this particular size. So it is on the size chart as 42 inches for the extra large. When I measured my pattern, it measured 39.5 inches. So what this means is this is underneath the body measurement. So there is a negative 2.5-inch amount of ease in this particular pattern. So what you're going to find is that this particular pattern is going to hug you around the bust circumference. Now you're going to notice when we calculate the waist, which we have the body measurement minus the pattern measurement, means that we actually have 4.5 inches of positive ease, which tells you that this pattern fits loosely in the waist. So if you're someone who wants to have a tighter fitting waist, you may need to make some adjustment here. Now you're going to see here as we go to the hip measurement, my body is measuring 44.5 for the extra large. The pattern is 42.5, meaning there is negative 2 inches of ease. Now, this is what you're going to sort of use as your guide when you are measuring the pattern and deciding how to alter it to fit you. Now, you do want to double check your sleeve as well. The sleeve, I always like to put a positive amount of ease in the sleeve. And that's because I really don't want the bicep and the elbow or the wrist to fit really, really tightly. In a knit, I like it to be a little bit easy. So what you're going to find in this particular pattern with the body measurement of 12.5 for the bicep, my pattern's measuring 13, which means there is a positive 1/2 inch amount of ease here. So this is over the body measurement. So this is, again, is positive ease. And I've got that basically through the elbow as well. And we've got even a little bit of ease at the wrist. As we've discovered, there is negative ease in the bust, which allows the garment to hug the body, making it possible to eliminate the need for darts and seams. Now, as the fabric stretches over this area, the fabric molds to the shape of the body. The negative ease in the hip simply creates that silhouette of this classic t-shirt shape. Now, there is positive ease in the waist, which allows for an easier fit through the waist. The sleeve also has positive ease for added sleeve comfort. So as we discovered, there is negative ease in the bust, positive ease in the waist, and negative ease in the hip. And this is what creates this silhouette that we have in the Jenny t-shirt pattern. Now it fits quite snugly over the bust because what we want to do is try to eliminate bust dart volume. And in order to do that, we need to stretch the fabric snug enough in order for us to be able to eliminate that dart volume. Now there is still a little bit of dart volume in this particular pattern simply because I've created cup sizes that incorporate easing at the side seam. So you will find that likely there will still be a slight diagonal drag line here at the side of the bust, simply because the bust dart isn't there to pick up the volume of the dart all the way through to what would be the normal dart point. So if you had a dart here, this part would fit really, really smoothly. Now without that, it's likely that you'll still get some diagonal drag lines. Now you can definitely eliminate that drag line if you make the bust circumference even tighter. Because what happens is it forces the fabric to mold over the bust and incorporate the ability to remove more of that bust ease. So because I only have like negative 2.5 inches of ease in this particular pattern on the size extra large as my example, it is likely that your 75% stretch fabric ratio will actually be able to accommodate more than that. But what I've done is I've kind of left a lot of leeway in order for you to not create such a tight fitting t-shirt by taking up all of the stretch ratio in the 75% stretch fabric. So that is part of the thinking behind how this particular t-shirt fits. Now you'll also find that it's going to be a little bit loose around the waist if you have that standard hourglass figure. And that's simply because I personally don't like my t-shirts to fit really snug around my tummy. Now, if you do, you can definitely make your waistline a little bit more snug. You can take it in at the side seam. But what you will likely find is that when you take it in at the side seam, you will likely find that you will have to make the bust a little bit snugger and also the hip a little bit snugger so that you don't get these diagonal drag lines that will point to the wider parts of your body. So you have to sort of keep the knit fabric stretch kind of equally throughout the torso of the body in order to create that really smooth silhouette. So that's just something to think about if you are changing the amounts of negative or positive ease in this particular pattern. As long as you know where to measure the bust, waist, and hip position on the pattern, you can easily determine the amount of negative or positive ease in the pattern based on the body measurements used to develop the pattern. Now, once you've determined the optimal ease, you can then assign it to each area based on your personal body measurements and create the same fit and silhouette as the designer intended. Now, once you know and understand the negative and positive ease, you can change it to create the fit that you want. Now, if you'd like to learn about stretch fabric pattern making and negative ease, I invite you to look into my online course, The Custom Stretch Knit Bodice. You'll learn how to draft a basic t-shirt using your own body measurements and the stretch ratio of any chosen fabric. I'll leave a link for you to explore it on this page. Now, if you're following along with the Jenny T, I encourage you to do your own math and determine the negative and positive ease allowances on your chosen size. I'll chat with you soon. Bye for now.